Are you gonna put support where your mouth is?
Ludo short, you'll beat it in one stream. No? I would say for a shorter indie game, it's actually a decent length. Really. Like, I think it's actually a pretty decent length. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm liking the game. It's actually hooked. The game is kind of showing cracks in the cracks in the system, cracks in the what's happening.
What the hell is happening is right. What's going on here, Phil? Anyway, y'all, that's Darkside Phil.
We cannot go on a vacation or
And it's throwing stuff off where it won't align with the holiday marathons that I usually do. So I figure doing an extra marathon, giving you a bonus, good, but I need you guys to show up on Friday and support the marathon is the way to actually get things back in line, all right? I hope that sounds good, but I need you guys to show up on Friday and support the marathon. If it does well, that's when we're going to do the second one.
You hear that, Darkside Phil fans? He's going to give y'all a bonus. A second marathon. 2 marathons in 1 month where he's going to come and ask you for as much money as possible. $100 shots. I mean, just throw all your money at Phil right here, right? Throw it all at Phil. I mean, if you were to ask me, 2 marathons in 1 month, it couldn't have anything to do with taking that week off, right? You know, try to make up for some lost revenue, Phil, in one day. Sounds like a good reason to do 2 marathons in a month to me. So, Phil, what happens if you perform poorly on one of your marathons? Is it going to be like the Switch marathon where you expected more out of people? You expected more money to come in? I mean, Phil, we all remember this.
Squirt Rocks, thanks for a gifted sub. It sure would be great if other people could support the stream. But I don't know what's going on today, quite frankly. Everyone said they wanted the new game. On the new console, I get the new console and the new game. And we've had basically incredibly slow support for a marathon. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what to say. That's why I'm not even really talking about it, because I'm starting to get upset. So I'm just going to fucking play the game. Seriously.
He's upset. He's upset because he didn't make enough money on this marathon. He expected to make a lot more on the Switch 2 marathon. It just came out. He's playing Mario Kart. And as you see, he made $344 in donations, and he's upset. He doesn't know what to say. He wants more people to support. Because when Phil does a marathon, he's used to making at least $1,000 or close to it. So to make half of that, to make a fraction amount of money that he normally thinks would be coming in that day on a marathon, he's pissed. He can't buy the things that he wants to buy or pull. I don't know. So that's why we need to support this marathon. Because this is Phil's job, right? Well, let's talk about Phil's job for a minute.
Someone took $2 and says, half your streams should be trying to be making money and the other half should be for fun.
Whatever DSP said here didn't even make sense. Like, such a shitty job of paraphrasing what this guy was saying. I mean, look at his face. Because he's so built up with anger after reading that, he's got to go on a rant and defend himself here. Because some guy calling him out about asking for money all the time, only talking about money, everything that he does, whether it's talking about goals, because he needs to pull the amount of money in to reach those goals, is exposing his gimmick in front of his own audience. And honestly, Phil just doesn't want to hear people criticize his stream. He thinks that everything he does is right, he's justified in doing it, and everybody else is wrong. Can't take a bit of criticism. He asks for feedback, but when he gets feedback like this, let's see how he responds.
This is my job. When you go to your job, do you say, hey, half the time that I'm here, I'm making money. And then the other half, I'll just sit here and do everything and I'll just do it for free.
Phil, you're a YouTube streamer. This isn't a job. You don't get benefits. You don't get health insurance. It's not a real job. There are people that are successful at doing it that don't have to work a real job because they've found successful avenues of income to make this last. Whether it be sponsors, shilling products. Like, you could be shilling products in the background. If you didn't talk about money so much, nobody would care if you had a Prime bottle sitting in the background. Of course, you could never get sponsored because you're so toxic, and then you blame your trolls for it. Let's put Phil's situation, the way that Phil does business, the way that Phil entertains and streams and works his job in comparison to real life, right? He walks into the office where his bosses are sitting every single day before he even starts his job. Phil walks into the office, guys, I'm going to need an advance this week. I'm going to need at least $50 in my account today if you want me to sit down in that production line and get to work, and then crosses his arms. Because you know how he starts his streams, especially his night streams, and he'll sit there and be like, all right, guys, let's get $50 in support before I start the stream. So he walks into his job and he goes, I'm going to need $50 advance pay before I even sit down on that bench, guys. Come on. Who's going to do it? Looking at both of his bosses. And the example two is Phil goes in every single day and asks for money, right? I mean, everything is financial talk. Guys, if you want me to lift that pallet back there, I'm going to need at least another $50 today. If you want me to continue coming into this job, I'm going to need $200 by the end of the day. If you guys want me to continue to work the production line out there, I'm going to need at least $150 today. And then the bosses would respond, Phil, you get paid hourly. You show up late every day, you take frequent breaks, and you do a bad job at your work. So why would we pay you more? Oh, well, you know. And then he'll give you some runaround reason as to why he deserves more money. But we need to take a step back because this guy plays video games for a living and treats it like he works in the medical industry. This is my job. It's so pathetic.
This is how I make a living. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I support my family.
Ah, there it is. The old bills. Gotta pay my bills, Phil. Are we back to paying our bills again? See, somebody who was successful wouldn't need to be arguing this. Like, this is just beneath you. This would be beneath you. You wouldn't need to argue. This pays my bills. Like, you're fighting with some guy over a $2 tip. And now you gotta justify why you're successful and why people need to send you money to pay your bills. It's like 2018 all over again.
What you're saying is nonsensical. Just because I'm on stream playing games for a lot of the time I'm on stream doesn't mean it's not work. Okay? I'm an online content creator. I'm a gamer. To some extent, I'm an influencer.
Who do you influence? And how do you influence people? The last time I checked, lolcows weren't influencers. People with large followings, people that had huge fan bases. You know, anything they post goes viral. Those are influencers. What are you? And you're a gamer, dude. Come on. You didn't even know how to play Tony Hawk. I was watching him play Tony Hawk and I hadn't played Tony Hawk in years, dude. And I knew like triangle was grind. I knew flip tricks. Like, how do you not know this stuff? It's so weird because most of us that are around this age play Tony Hawk at friend's house. We own Tony Hawk games. Like, everybody was playing Tony Hawk, I feel like, at one point. It was a fun game to play, and it was muscle memory. But Phil, it was like, this guy had never seen a skateboarding game in his life. He shot on Project Zomboid. He shot on RimWorld. He shot on Factorio. Like, great indie games. If anything, Phil, you're a mainstream gamer, and even then, it's debatable. As for online content creation, okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you a half point for it, because you do show up on stream and turn the camera. As for the content that you actually create and you put out on the internet, you just hit the record button, dude. And then when you need to burp or you need to go pee, you hit pause. And that's your version of editing a video. There's nothing entertaining. Your videos aren't edited to be funny. It's just raw gameplay clips. Like, nobody cares about that. You're more of a streamer than a content creator. Like, what content do you actually create that isn't some manufactured half-assed video that just was paused and recorded from your stream? I mean, even when this dude does DSP Tries It, he plays his little intro on the stream. It's not even something that's edited in after because he's just too lazy to edit. Oh, he's too busy. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. How is it the rest of us work 40 plus hours a week and we still have time to do stuff like this? Because you have a poor work ethic, Phil. You're lazy. And these are all my opinions, but I think I've watched enough Dark Side Phil to come to that conclusion. And that's not a good thing. I'm not bragging. It's a horrible thing. Could have done anything else with my life, but I'm here, right? I think Phil says I could have been doing anything else with my time. All right, let's see what else he says.
I'm definitely an entertainer, and there's thousands of people around the world who like what I do, and I deserve to be paid for it.
Why do you deserve to be paid for it? Because you show up on camera and you immediately demand money? Because you're Dark Side Phil? You jerked off on stream so everybody has to pay you now? You should have been off the internet when you did that, by the way. The fact that you even continued to stream when you showed up, I mean, it's dedication, but not in a good way.
This is not just my hobby where it's a side gig. I've been doing it full-time since 2011, and I will continue to do it full-time for as long as I so choose to, and not a moment longer or shorter. So stop trying to make dumb suggestions like that. Oh, just do it for free. Oh, yeah, just forget about anything. Here's the thing.
You love taking criticism out of context because nobody told you to do this for free. This is Phil insinuating that this guy is telling him to completely stop talking about money and just do everything for free. When the guy just says, stop talking about money so much on your streams, like you're a gameplay streamer. This isn't a financial advisor stream for him. He'll take something like that out of context, twist it, turn it like he likes to claim detractors and trolls and people that don't like him, twist and turn the things that he says and turn it into, oh yeah, So you want me to do it for free? No, dude. You just don't need to ask for people's money 100+ times a stream. Why is there a guy in a detractor stream that counts every beg you do? And when you pop into that detractor stream, he's counted over 100+ begs from you on a 2-hour stream, dude. Like, that's pathetic.
The fun part about what you said. As much as I would like to do it for free and work half the time making money and half the time not, that's not how bills work. Bills don't say, oh, half the time pay us and half the time don't. They say, just pay us all the time. Therefore, I have to actually be making money when I'm working all the time. That's how life works. Maybe one day you'll become an adult and you'll understand how it works. For now, though, I'll accept your $2. Thanks very much.
The thing is, like, Phil has such a baby mentality of, I want to prove I'm better than people. We'll go over this clip from last night. DSP sent people to LTG's stream and then immediately started talking shit about LTG because Phil has been challenging Low Tier God to play him in a fighting game. And Low Tier God's not going to play this dude unless he gets money out of it. And honestly, if I had to even deal with DSP, I would do the same thing. We all know that DSP has some sort of trauma, some weird complex that he needs to prove that he's better than people. He needed to prove that he's better than Kino Casino. He could make more money without them on a stream, which he talked about that. And he needed to prove that he's better than LTG. And let's just watch this quick clip.
He knows that he will lose. I don't want to play him for money by paying him. I want to play him and turn him into my bitch by beating him in a game. I want him to actually try. What he's saying is that he doesn't want to play me because he just wants the money, and that it doesn't matter if he wins or loses if he gets the money up front. No, I want to prove that I'm better than him. That's why I want to play him for real, so there have to be stakes. He wins money if he wins. He doesn't get anything if he loses. He's a bitch. He's a coward, and he's a fucking scrub and always will be. Have a good night. Go over there and have...
I mean, how much of a loser do you need to be on the internet?
To prove your worth, to prove that you're better than people on the internet at a video game, and go through all this? Guy will do drama when he thinks it works for him, when it's convenient for him. But when anybody challenges this guy to some drama, says something about him, top tier rated, on Twitter about his fighting game skills, they get blocked. Because he's got baby thin skin, he can't take an insult. But he can dish it out when he wants to. When it's in the comfort of his own stream, he'll talk all the shit he wants. This is the definition of a baby man. Alright, let's move on. Anyway, we got this interesting super chat that we're about to go over here next because it had already gone by, so I want to let y'all read it because Phil may paraphrase, I don't know. So this person says, even your fans don't care about whether you hit goals or not. These discussions are dream content for detractors though. Why give it to them? But Phil is already saying that this is trollish because of the guy's name probably.
All right. And there was a super chat. It was pretty trollish, but I want to see what it says. It's from Reluctant Handjob. Wow, what a great name, huh? What an idiot. He says, your fans don't care about whether you hit goals or not. Yes, they do. My fans do. The trolls don't. Well, I take that back. The trolls do. They don't want me to hit goals. Get it? My fans do actually care. That's why they come by and they actually support my stream.
I'll side with Phil to an extent here. His fans probably do care if he hits the goals, right? Like, they want to see this content from Phil. There's a reason that people are on a Dark Side Phil stream, and he's got these weird, unironic people that are in his YouTube chat that claim to be fans, right? They never insult them or anything, so I don't think they're LARPers. And the core argument, it's just being poorly explained here, is that the fans don't care about constantly hearing about money. Guys, we need support for this. Guys, if you want to keep seeing this game in the rotation, please support. They don't want to make everything about money. And I think that's the point that this person's trying to make. The goals have become more something for DSP. He gets to buy these meals and spend a ton of money and buy a ton of food on a DoorDash order that he normally wouldn't probably spend that much money on, right? He might just get a couple things for him and his wife, but here he kind of splurges out now when he does his DSP tries it. And I mean, it's also clear that DSP is addicted to food and fast food. Like, he is obsessed with doing this stuff on stream, and it's actually getting to the point where it's weird, because all of his gaming content becomes about DSP tries it somehow. So will DSP actually respond on this and give this guy, you know, a clear answer? Because he asked for feedback. I mean, this is a pretty understandable statement here from maybe somebody who's not well educated in the DSP verse that just pops into a DSP stream and constantly hears money, right? Let's see how DSP responds.
So I don't even need to read the rest of your message here. You're just a moron. But thanks for $5. Okay, then. I'm definitely not putting your name on the leaderboard because it's so dumb. I'm just going to say stupid, which is your name. Okay.
He actually wrote stupid on the leaderboard for this guy. But then wonders why everybody doesn't like him. He wonders why more people show up to a detractor stream than a Darkside Phil stream. Because you're an unlikable creature, dude. I mean, even Wavy Websurf put out a video, he's got over 1 million followers, about Darkside Phil. He was one of the people featured in this video.
Why am I toxic?
The cliff notes on Phil, for those of you who don't know the guy, he's a washed up Let's Player from a bygone era who doesn't know when to call it quits. He also really sucks at video games, which makes no sense.
Well, I failed because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the aiming. The aiming's actually hard to do because the triggers are very, loose. It's super hard to actually do it properly. Also, the thumbsticks are overly sensitive, so it's hard to aim.
Phil blamed his audience for his declining views, refused to improve his content, only to eventually give up making videos for good.
And it's funny that you mentioned refuse to improve his content, because you ask Phil and he goes, look at my setup now, guys. My content's so much better. But it's like, Phil, your content is there just to talk about stuffing your face with fast food. I mean, the entire loop of DSP's content is to stuff his face with fast food. How fast can we get to the next goal so I can eat my next meal in front of you guys? And we already talked about the actual content, how it's just as bad as it was. He just doesn't have the camera pointed at the TV anymore. He live records his videos, does no editing really. And if he does, it's very minimal. There's nothing entertaining about it. I mean, the Clipper channels are infinitely more entertaining than a Darkside Phil video. And then he wonders why people watch detractor content, because they make things funny. Because you refuse to actually make good content and put it out. Not that you probably could at this point, but you know what I'm saying? Like, why would anyone click on your Minecraft video and just sit there and listen to you talk about Kino Casino for 15 minutes and how you're better than them? You're King Snake. I just want to clear the air about something. DSP is not a beggar.
Brian did a $2 super chat. He says, what's your opinion on people that beg? Well, here's the thing. It depends on your definition of beg. If there's someone who literally is sitting in the street begging for something for nothing, that's one thing. If there's someone who is providing free content to you that you're finding entertaining, and then they ask for a contribution in return because that's the way that they make their living, that's completely different, and that's...
He immediately made begging a parallel to his situation. Like, that's crazy. First of all, the guy in the street asking for money for nothing is what Phil does when he starts his stream sometimes. Guys, can we get to $50 before the gameplay starts? Asking for money to hit a goal on your stream so your wife doesn't have to cook tonight. Is that begging? Because I would consider it begging. Guys, please give me money so my wife doesn't have to cook. To me, it's the same thing as, guys, please give me money so I can afford a sandwich tonight, right? Different situation, but you're still begging for money. I mean, why don't we just look up the definition of beg? To ask earnestly. I mean, he earnestly asks for money from people. He's serious about getting that money. Like, can you imagine you walked in a Subway and this guy was behind the counter and you asked for your sub? You're like, can I get an Italian sub? And DSP says, okay, but if I could really get a $5 tip before the sandwich making process begins, that would be really great, guys. And then he sits there with his arms crossed for a minute, just staring at you, and you're awkwardly just standing there thinking, make my sub, dude. Till finally DSP gives in and starts making your sub, but he's all pissy about it. Like, that's what I picture.
not begging. So, people that beg, well, it's sad that there are people who have to beg, I feel. It would be nice if we lived in a society where everyone had enough. And you didn't have to have people who would have to ask for stuff like that on the street. But that's not the society we live in. For me, when it comes to stuff like that, like, I would prefer to help out people who I know are going to use what I'm going to give them for something good. Like, for example, one time I was in the drive-thru at Taco Bell. This is a true story. It was a few years ago.
But what about the people that give you donations and money, and then you say it's none of your business what I do with it, right? Phil asks for money and then turns around and says, you have no right to ask what I do with it. Once it's my money, it's none of your business. So if, you know, there's a homeless guy who's got nothing but a cell phone and he plays WWE Champions on it, and you give him $5 and he immediately spends it on WWE Champions, you're like, dude, you could have bought like a sandwich with that. You're probably not going to give him the money again because he's just going to spend it on WWE Champions. So it's a little contradictory of Phil to say something like that, where you would give somebody money, but you want to know it goes to a good cause, it goes to a good place. But when the shoe's on the other foot, it's none of their business. They have no right to ask what you do with their money. Gotcha. Because remember, he's a crowd-funded individual. He makes his living by asking you for money. He asks and he receives. Now, here's the thing. Do I think Phil begs every time he asks for money? No. And I'll give Phil that credit because I'm a fair guy. Phil will sometimes say things like, guys, if you like the content, support it. Fine. A lot of streamers do that. They'll say it once and they'll move on. But then there's times like this.
All right, guys, final 15 minutes of today's stream. Last chance to support. If you could support in some way, I would really appreciate it. Even if it's just a small contribution, like a little super chat or a $1 tip. It's better than nothing. Seriously. I would like to hit $100 on this stream. It sucks because now I don't even know if I should play this again. I want to see the ending, but if it's going to be the stream that no one supports, then I don't know what to do. I gave it 2 shots. I guess I'm not allowed to play different games. I'm really not. If I'm not playing a game where we can 100% hang out the entire time, or a game where it's like complete action all the time, apparently I'm not allowed to play it.
It's also pretty ironic that DSP says that he's not begging. He doesn't beg, but even that flip-flops.
It's all part of the e-begging persona to constantly be crying about everything.
I mean, recently on stream he came on and said, all right, guys, it's time for the begging segment or something along those lines, trying to ask for support. Phil flip-flops. Sometimes he'll own up to just knowing he's a beggar, and then sometimes he says he doesn't beg at all.
You gotta love someone like this. Oh, if he stopped actually begging, I'd actually consider donating, except you didn't. You didn't when I wasn't saying anything about it, so you're full of crap. That you are supporting the content, even though I didn't even ask for anything. There you go. There was no begging required. You just forthcoming with the support.
So you admit that you beg when you need money.
All right. Anyway, let's continue. See, and then I love it because then he tries to judge. It goes, oh, I'm not begging for pennies and dimes. I made $2,000. That's a lot of pennies and dimes. Anyway.
We're seeing a decline in Darkside Phil, whether he likes to admit it or not. I mean, it's like every other day you see a new video from some channel you've never heard of, titled something along the lines of the most miserable streamer on the internet, and then you see a picture of Darkside Phil. It's just so funny and ironic that Phil claims to be a positive guy. You know, if you're positive to him, he's positive to you, and he doesn't allow toxicity on his streams. But it seems like a lot of time that's all you get. If he's not fully engrossed in the game at the moment, he's looking at chat and saying something toxic, it seems. You know, as I'm recording this, I'm thinking to myself, there's a million more clips I could play. It's just not enough to keep up with Phil. It seems like every stream now he's doing multiple things that it's worthy of cover. But I appreciate y'all. Like, subscribe, comment, you know, the usual. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.